You will never guess who I talked to yesterday.
I will guess. I will guess wrong, but I will still guess. Was it Mr. Noodle?
No, it was one of my drivers, Antonio Graham.
Oh, yeah, that was my next guess.
Yeah. Like, he's not anybody particularly important. I just knew you would never guess it.
Well, if you're mostly dead and I'm mostly dead, then that must mean
With our powers combined, we're
we're gonna
dead.
die. We're gonna die. All right.
And this we is, of course, the Super Whiskey Brothers.
And this dead is, of course, because unfortunately, that's just how the sequence of time unfolds for the humankind.
Mm. No, it
We
depends on
all
who you
eventually
ask.
die.
It depends on who you ask. It could be fortunately, it could be unfortunately.
Well, considering the bout of bathroom experience I just had, I think it's more unfortunately that we're still alive, but we'll get through it.
Yep. But anyways,
Means I was pooping.
yeah. So this is a thing that may help. That may help with your uh dyingness. What are you
Yeah.
drinking?
Well, it actually will help with my dietness because considering this is my now second full day, a full 48 now, 49 hours if you will, of battling with diarrhea,
Mm-hmm.
then I will tell you what I'm having. I'm having a bottle of great value purified drinking water. Because I'm so dehydrated, I can feel it in my throat. And if I pinch my skin, instead of turning white, I just come away with a piece of my skin.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I am. I always know when I get underhydrated because my kidneys start to hurt when that happens.
Yes, yes, my kidneys have been hurting since sometime last night, so I have foregone our weekly tradition in favor of potentially making it through another day.
Mm-hmm. Potentially.
So, potentially. I still can't guarantee it, but I will say, uh, not this time.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Don't want to die.
well, I am. I didn't have the opportunity to pour myself a glass because I got up.
Please tell me you're just holding the whole bottle.
Huh. No, no, I didn't have
So
the.
please tell me you're just holding the
Yeah,
whole bottle then.
that'd be fantastic. What's everyone else gonna drink? No, so for that
This is for
reason, I'm
me.
drinking the only thing that is on my desk at the moment. Which happens to be yesterday's leftover coffee.
That sounds. It just sounds horrible.
Well, it's coffee
It
that I
just sounds
made.
so horrible.
It's my coffee, so it's like it's not like it's bad.
Any coffee that's from yesterday is bad coffee.
Mm.
This is you're grossing me out right now.
I prefer coffee that's a few weeks old. Then I pour hot water over it and drink it.
Is that what you've done this morning?
No, I poured hot water over it yesterday.
Well, then it's disgusting.
Mm.
I will die on this hill. That coffee you're drinking is gross.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
while we're waxing so eloquently since we're both dying, maybe we should get to the frickin' point.
oh yeah, get to the point.
What's the topic of today?
Um, I kind of forget, isn't it? Chronicles of Innsmouth.
It is.
Uh huh. Hey, well, because I'm a lazy idiot, we're just going to talk about Chronicles of Innsmouth and Chronicles of Innsmouth, Mountains of Madness today. Um,
Mountains of Madness.
yeah, but because I'm super freaking lazy, I never played Mountains of Madness, so I have
Oh.
yeah,
Oh,
and
Sean.
that's supposed to be the good one.
It is. Oh man, is it ever the good one? It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man. Even if you well, so okay, so obviously you're not going to. I'll talk about it a little bit then.
Mm-hmm.
To when we get to that part. But oh, you go play it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely still go play it. I was blown away when I was telling you because Sean and I had a text conversation. Because I was talking about this game. Um, to him, just gushing about it a little bit. I was specifically gushing about Mountains of Madness when we were talking. Just because it's a great game. Sorry, we're now rambling between the two of ourselves. Go ahead and start the setting the scene for the first one because I think I'm going to be talking a lot about the second one.
All right. Well, the first one starts off with us getting off the train into Newburyport.
Nibripalt.
Newburyport. Um. And it's you have to follow a storyline. And this game follows the storyline of Shadow over Innsmouth closely enough that you have a vague idea of what to do next, but not
Right.
so closely as to give it away what you're supposed to be
Right.
doing. Like so much so that I've read and listened to many times Shadow over Innsmouth, and the ending of this game was not spoiled for me.
No, no, no. They even added quite a lot of the dialogue in the game is pulled. Well, I won't say a lot, but the dialogue from the game at points is pulled directly from Lovecraft's story, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get a few Easter eggs here and there. Um, but yeah, it's follows the story. It follows the story quite closely with a nice plot twist at the end, but adding small things here and there, and technically a whole extra character. Um, I'm terrible with names, so I'm gonna be struggling a lot with the names. But we have that whole extra character that's strangling people who technically is not really a part of the original story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, the ending's rather strange if you're trying to compare it to the books, but it's well made. What we haven't addressed yet is the style of game that it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The style game, it is an old style point and click adventure game, just very similar to the old LucasArts games. And it also has a lot of that same goofy humor that you'll see in Monkey Island, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it was as good as far as the comedy, as the little goofiness. I don't think it was as good as Monkey Island, but you got to cut them a break because it was two guys that made this, and two guys can come up with some jokes. But
Hmm.
like when you were the team at Lucas Games, you had everybody coming up with jokes for that game. So
Yeah,
it was,
and that definitely helps.
yeah. And so, but yeah, and then there were also some American references that are in Monkey Island that you wouldn't have in this because it was made by two Italian guys. So I'm sure there are even more jokes in this game than we realized, but they were Italian jokes.
It's also worth mentioning again. Yeah, like it's a very small studio, and because of that, I find this to be just a shockingly great game. I didn't know that until you told me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when I heard that, I was more impressed. But I think it's really worth mentioning very briefly. This is the style of game that was really our introduction to gaming. Um, the our dad was a bit of a gamer,
Mm-hmm.
and we would go and watch him play games. And my I don't know if it's the very first game I ever saw him play, but I know my earliest memories of watching someone play at some kind of video game was of my dad playing King's Quest, probably 5.
Mm-hmm. Those are my two earliest memories of video gaming. Watching Dad play Doom and watching Dad play King's Quest 5, and I don't remember which came first.
Yeah, and it could have even been Doom, but I mean, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have the vivid memories are from King's Quest because that was such a gripping game for both of us as kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was the same kind of concept. It was very story driven,
Mm-hmm.
um, puzzle driven. It's very similar to this game as far as the core concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which, speaking of the puzzles, so I think the puzzles themselves in this game are very good. They're fun to figure out for the most part, and they're a lot of fun. The only thing that I have issue with in this game is in this game the only thing that I have issue with is some of the puzzles require you to use a certain interaction with a certain object. And I figured out what object I should interact with. And I kept variously interacting with it in various ways. But you have 9 interactions that you can use. And you have to figure out which of the 9 interactions you have to use on the object. And I don't think that's entirely good. Like, I think maybe, like, here's the most that it should be, and that's this. You right click on an object that you need to interact with, and it'll tell you, that's I guess what I'm saying is I think they should have gotten rid of the, they should have gotten rid of the push-pull, but then on the one hand, yeah, because in real life, you'd have to decide whether you had to push it or pull it or whatever you had to do with it. But, like, for example, and like here's why I didn't like it in the scene, the only one of the only intense scenes in the book is the hotel escape. And in the hotel escape, I can, on this, if I click to interact with the door, it'll say the door is locked. If I click to open the door, it says the door is locked. So I need to bust through the door. So I need to click open on the door. No, not open. I need to put push. I need to push on the door. And it's a frantic scene that you're timed on. And it was... It was a little bit rough, I think.
Yeah, there were a few things like that that I feel like that got polished up in the second game in Mountains of Madness. There were a few small things that I also thought were a little bit strange about this game. You said you kind of like the small puzzles, and that's I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not a big puzzler guy, but there are some things like the little back and forth things you have to do, like for instance to get a room key. The guy's like, "Oh, I can't reach that, and I don't have a stick." So you have to go back to the library, and you have to do, or if you've already done it, that's fine. Because you can do a lot of that, and then you have to go get trying to get the stick from this kid, and you're kind of it's kind of classic for this style of game. I realize, so I realize I'm complaining about something that's super normal, but it does get annoying for me. And in addition to that, and this probably isn't something I should complain about. I'm going to throw that out there because this is probably not a way to avoid this. But depending on things that you've done and conversations you've already had with maybe some other characters, you will sometimes get double dialogue or some very similar things said to you twice. It's not that that's a big deal, but it just does happen that way.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something else too. Another game, features in other games that I don't like. Like the other day I was playing FIFA, and there was a time I had to pass the ball to another player and then run down the field and kick the ball into the goal. I didn't like that. That was kind of annoying.
Well, to be fair, it's because you were playing FIFA.
That's true, yeah. It sucks. Okay, here you go. Hot take. With the exception of the Blitz games, and whatever the hockey version of Blitz was, it was also called Blitz. It was also Blitz? Okay. NFL Blitz and NHL Blitz. So with the exception of the Blitz games, sports games are bad. Soccer games are the worst.
It depends on which one, because you and I put an awful lot of hours into Tiger Woods PGA 2008
Yeah,
or
yeah,
2006, 2006.
yeah. And but would I do that today? And what I mean by that is would is that just that's the game that we were able to play the easiest together with the games that we had? Because on the Xbox you can play music while you're doing that, and there wasn't very like we weren't allowed to play any shooters, we weren't allowed to play so that was like the only 2-player game we had. So would we still put those hours into it today now that we are away from our parents and are allowed to play a wider range of games?
So you're absolutely right, but at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
if you were like, hey, guess what? I have an emulator. We're going to go play Tiger Woods 2006 right now. I would absolutely go do that. Now, that's probably the nostalgia lens, so I'll
Yeah,
give you that.
yeah, like only if we
But
can play like old school. Uh, well, I forgot the name of the band. Crap. Um, ah, it's actually a good band.
it's 3 Days Grace.
Three Days Grace, yeah, but not the one I was thinking of. Band wrote a bunch of songs. Uh,
Yeah, they do that.
dude wrote a song about his brother who killed himself. Um,
Blue October.
no, 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 ew.
Well,
No,
band about someone whose brother killed himself. Jeez.
Seether. Whew. That was hard.
It's either. Oh yeah, yeah,
No, I was talking about good bands, Tyler.
yeah. Well, fair enough.
Hey, we are 15 minutes in and we're already grossly off topic.
Yeah, that didn't take very long at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, what we were trying to get to say there was that we really, really love the concept of this game because it really threw us back
Mm-hmm.
into our roots, and also when we have weird things that we don't like about other games, we started talking about weird things that we don't like about other games, and Sean started talking about how he doesn't really like sports games, and then we talked about the music that we used to listen to when we played Xbox, and now we're back on topic. Hey, did you like the way that you had to talk to Zadok Allen?
No, no, I didn't.
Yeah, it was terrible. That
Yeah,
was a terrible moment in the game. And then he commits suicide?
yeah. It was. So I've heard uh I've heard there's something that I thought when I heard it, or when I heard it, when I read it and everything. I had my own opinion. Um uh and I the guys over at HP Podcraft, they had a different opinion. They had the opinion that he ran away. Is what, because one of the guys said because they had someone reading it, and then he said, yeah, he just noped out of there, didn't he? At that point, and I don't think so. I don't know what got him or how it got him so quickly, and but of course, like there's enough magical stuff going on that they could have um, uh, he could have been zipped into the
Could have got.
yeah, he could have could have zipped him into their Shoggoth den somehow, but which, by the way, I do like that they had a Shoggoth in it, because they did say that the Deep Ones were making a Shoggoth. Yeah, but they
That was fine.
yeah, that was all right. And I have to assume that it's the Shoggoth that eats you and kills you if you go into the refinery. But anyways, yeah, and so yeah, the guys at HP Podcraft thought he ran away. I thought he got. But to just run and dive into the ocean and drown yourself, or whatever it is that he
That's
did,
lame.
that's
Yeah.
awful. It's terrible. I also didn't
In
like.
some.
Mhm.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I also didn't like that they made Zadok actually legitimately crazy, because he wasn't, and that was the whole point.
Right. Yeah, that's the reason why I brought it up specifically is because I felt that that was handled pretty poorly all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of strange at points too, because I mean, if you're talking about a point in a story
Mm-hmm.
that is like all the Lovecraft stories, the Lovecraft horror has a point that it centers on that
Mm-hmm.
is the kind of it's no longer the creeping realization, it's like the moment of realization of terror, and you actually hear some of the actual, oh my goodness, this is, so it's like the moment before the big reveal of whatever the protagonist sees.
Mm-hmm.
And every Lovecraft book has these moments, and they stand out pretty aggressively. So to make the moment from this story
Mm-hmm.
be reduced into whatever the heck that was pretty lame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that was really my only big complaint with the game. As far as having big complaints, it was that interaction, and I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, and I will say this, like an incredibly fun game, but whew, that's another thing I'll say
Bless
about the game.
you.
Mm. Yeah, it's a very good game, very fun game, relatively short game. Um, uh, it was I paid $20, $28 for both of them. And uh, it was a good enough game. So if I bought as well, I'll go by this. I got it as a bundle, but I'll go by the single prices. The first game was $13, and I don't remember how much the other game is. I know I saved money, so I think it was $18. So it should have been like a little over $30, and I paid less than
It was
that.
a few dollars. It was a few dollars more, but nothing terrible.
Yeah. And so like I only saved a little bit from the bundle. Now was the first game, was it worth $13? And I'll talk a little bit more about the first game. There's more to say on that, but I've to say this. The answer is probably it was a little bit. Like I don't know how much replay value it has. If I run through it again, I'll let you know if I enjoy it the second time around. But uh, but yeah, crap. Oh yeah, so I don't really know how much replay value it has, but $13 for a 6-hour game. That's paying $2 an hour for entertainment. I am willing to pay $2 an hour for entertainment. So yes, on the grand scheme of things, the game is worth it. I'm used to paying a significantly lower price per hour for video games, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like best example of that is Dark Souls. I have more than 1,000 hours in Dark Souls 3. And I paid a grand total of, and I'll even count all the copies that I've bought for other people. So I bought you your PC so I bought my PC copy. I bought you your PC copy. I brought Brooke a PC copy, and I bought Trevor a PC copy. So let's go by buying those 4 copies of the game, and then also my PlayStation copy. So 5 copies of the game. Paid a grand total of, I think, $80 for each of them. So I spent $400 since 2016 on on Dark Souls 3 things. But if I have over 1,000 hours into it, right? So that is still only like 40 cents an hour.
Yeah.
And so that's still, 5 times less money. Even if having spent $400, that's 5 times less money per hour than I spent on this game. But I think $2 an hour is okay money for entertainment. Now, if you're going down the list of Steam games and you're like, hey, I'd like to buy a game, and you're going down the list of the Steam store, would I say get this game? I would not.
Yeah.
But if you're saying I want to get some good Lovecraft games, would you say this is a good Lovecraft game? And I would say it absolutely is, and it's worth it for that.
It is a good Lovecraft game. As far as this, I'm gonna call it a series because it's 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
This series has a lot of really good Lovecraftian elements as far as how it portrays all the horror and stuff that you have to have. The problem with me is I made the mistake because I wasn't paying enough attention of playing through Mountains of Madness first. Mountains of Madness is the perfect Lovecraft game in my opinion.
Really?
Yes, it is the most perfect Lovecraft game. And I don't mean Lovecraftian style. I don't mean Lovecraftian horror. I mean it is the perfect Lovecraft game. So especially in comparison to the other Shadow over Innsmouth, it's fine. If
Mm-hmm.
you're a big Lovecraft fan, you should go play it because it's not very expensive. It's a good way to spend some time. Um, Also, if you're not into like that style of gaming, I did find several playthroughs of this game on YouTube. You can get the entire experience of a game like this without actually playing it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just want to experience the story, go knock yourself out. But I advise doing it because it's great. I would do it. You should do it. We've both done it. Go do it.
Yeah, but yes, it's a good, and I will say, playing it. Okay, Lone Carter, right? I mean, is that Randolph Carter? Because,
No.
okay, the reason why I'm asking is because, you'd think it's not. It's just just happens to be an homage to the name. But then later on in the game, when you get like the weird thing that the dude's part of, and the dude gets literally eaten by a shoggoth, but he's still alive later on in the game. Like that sounds like Randolph Carter to me. So
I think it's an homage.
okay,
He is the focal point of Mountains of Madness.
really
Yes,
okay.
and that's the reason for him kind of being spattered through Shadow over Innsmouth. He is the focus of the next game.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So I just think he's an homage, but he's a very good one.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is, and he's a pretty good character in the next one. Um, oh gosh darn it, I had a thing to say, and now it's escaping. Hold on. Yeah, his if you do what you've done, which is the correct thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
and play the game, play Shadow over Innsmouth first,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll get a much better slow introduction to Lone, which is what should have happened to me, but I screwed up and I played the second game first.
Okay.
So it was a little more confusing for me to uh, to kind of come back and go, wait a minute, why is he even in this one, and especially like this? Because it's like they introduce him through like a phone call. He's like a private eye, and uh, he's just like in it randomly. I like how they put him in that like his scenes are all black and white, so you can see like there's some clear distinction. He has his really like 1920s detective music when he's got his scenes. So I mean, they do a good job of separating his portion from the rest of the game. But it's very weird because like you're wondering what the heck. But it clearly Shadow over Innsmouth was made with the intent of making Mountains of Madness as the sequel. It just took how many years did it take for them to actually make it?
I don't know. I can.
It has to be like 20 something.
Let's see. Chronicle of Innsmouth.
95?
Chronicles of Innsmouth was released in 2017.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Release date May 5th, 1917. And then
1917. You said that twice now.
did I say 1917?
Yeah.
2017.
It's like there's zero chance. I never mind that. I thought it was much, much, much earlier because I was reading something about how it was. I must have been reading how it was based off of something else.
Yeah. It's
Neither here nor there.
yeah, 4 years.
That's not as bad as I thought it was then, but still, that's still too long. Considering how closely related they are, I'd be pretty upset if I had to wait 4 years for a sequel to a game. I know this because we've both done it.
Mm-hmm. Wait, what?
I love that you completely agreed with me and then had no clue what I said.
Well, I heard you said we've both done it, and I assumed you were probably right, so I said, That was all I heard you say was we've both done it.
I said it really sucks to have to wait 4 years for a sequel to a game, and I know this because we've both done it.
So the longest I've waited for a sequel to a game is what, 16 years and counting.
And counting. Thanks, Mega Man Legends 3.
Yeah. Man,
I knew exactly what you meant by that.
When they decided they were gonna make that, like I was on the verge of buying a 3DS because it was gonna be an exclusive to that, and they're like, "Oh, I don't think people want to play this. We're gonna cancel this game." Shut up, Mr. Capcom. No one cares what you think.
And I'm sure we were in the minority of people who found that to be a system selling game, so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of get it. But that was a system selling game for me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I would have dropped that couple $100, whatever it was, 350 at the time, to buy a 3DS just so that I could play Mega Man Legends 3.
Mm-hmm. If the PS5 existed, the Demon Souls remake would have been a system selling game for me.
Well, it wasn't, and therefore I don't have a PS5 because I don't care.
Yeah. Well, see, the reason I don't have a PS5 is because they don't exist.
Because they're not real. You've heard it here first, folks. The PS5 isn't real.
Changed my mind.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to say about the Shadow of Innsmouth? I mean, like, I think we've covered all the things and talked about the strange talking points already.
I like the shooting scene. It was actually kind of interesting because all of a sudden became frantic and you didn't realize it was going to happen, and then it did, and you have to really fast pick up your mouse and shoot the deep ones, and that was fun.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a cool way to kind of break it up, and it also doesn't feel like, even though it should clearly be in a point and click game to point and click,
Mm-hmm.
that style of action is not generally in point and click games, so that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Which makes it feel like I've never played this game, but this is how this game was described to me, so I assume it's the same kind of thing. There's a blue lesbian.
Yes.
There's a blue lesbian game and a werewolf game, and they're the same game, but I think this is in the blue or the blue werewolf in the werewolf game, where you're just randomly doing like basic point and click stuff. It's for the PS4. And you're just doing basic point and click stuff. Then all of a sudden the werewolves pop up, and you have to do this arcade style move your thing around and shoot them.
Are you talking about that game that they made the sequel to not too long ago?
One game, okay, so one game is a blue lesbian game, and one game is Until Dawn. And I don't remember if the blue lesbian game is Until Dawn or if that's the werewolf game. The name of one of them is Until Dawn.
Until Dawn is the werewolf game. That You're definitely thinking of the game that one of my favorite internet memes is from. It's like, stupid gun. It's just randomly like punched in with nonsensical, like extremely left-leaning comments for no reason at all that are completely out of context and sound stupid in the moment of the game.
Well, it is a blue lesbian game, so you expect it to be left.
Oh yeah, no, it was softballed right in, but I can't for the life of me remember what it's called right now. Either way, I know exactly what you're talking about when you say that.
I keep wanting to say Stranger Things, so that's a TV show.
You know what? I almost said Stranger Things twice, so hold on. Now we've got to Google it. Hold on.
Wait.
It's strange something, isn't it? Hold on.
I'm gonna look it up.
PS4 strange. I'm gonna put in strange.
Lesbian PS4 game.
Life is Strange.
Yep, Life is Strange. Yep.
I
typed lesbian PS4 game. Ads. Shop lesbian PS4 game. Life is Strange, True Colors, and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy are the two games that popped up.
So for all of you getting upset that we were saying that, screw you.
Some results may be explicit. I wonder what is going on in these lesbian PS4 games.
Well, there's lesbians in them.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly. Anyways, yeah, that game's garbage. And the sequel is also garbage. And the studio for making it is garbage. Stop making garbage games, guys.
Mm-hmm. Awful.
Pro tip. Well, shall we move on?
Yes. Yes, you may move on.
Okay, I don't want to spoil anything for the viewers at home who are not viewing because this is a podcast, and for you who you've got to go play this game. You can tell a tick up in the graphics from one game to the other noticeably. Shadow over Innsmouth looks and feels like a mid to late 90s Lucas Studios game. Mountains of Madness has a clear tick up in the graphics. It has a clear tick up in the overall audio quality, although there are two like really broken up parts that are just stupid. But you'll know what I'm talking about when you hear them. But this, I said earlier that this is the perfect Lovecraft game. It opens with a moment from Mountains of Madness, and then cuts to Lone Carter waking up from something he doesn't understand. And essentially, like they have a character who they're trying to be is like Zadok Allen doing crazy stuff. That's whatever. And you get a whole bunch of Lovecraft Easter eggs all throughout this game. Asenath is mentioned. The weights are mentioned. You actually have a moment where you. So one of the things you have to do to figure out what's going on with this evil cult that's trying to do some thing that you get to find out about at the end. One of the ways that you have to find out is you have a character that you get to play as a little bit. Cause you actually have to play as 3 different characters in this game. Oh, 4 if you count Abdul Hazred.
So I knew that there were 3. I knew you played as Lone Carter, Abdul Hazred, and H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, and there's essentially like another one too. That's like one of the other characters that's in Lone's party. And I mean, it's no different than playing as Lone, but you are technically speaking controlling other characters. But one of these other characters has the ability to take these concoctions of medicines and go into the other dimensions and learn forbidden knowledge. And you actually get to have a conversation with some form of outer being to get more information, and that's when you get, excuse me, that's when you get to actually play as Abdul Hazred. And obviously to play as Abdul Hazred, especially in the scene that happens, you have to make an awful lot of assumptions and take a lot of liberties. But I was perfectly comfortable with what they did. It was cool. But it's just so many Easter eggs, lots of homages. That actually, believe it or not, it's the Mountains of Madness, but you spend probably maybe 10% of the whole game actually on the pole. It's lots and lots of detective research and doing stuff in the New England areas. It's the sheer amount. I'm trying to not spoil things. This is difficult. The sheer amount of little things that you get to go and do, like looking through books and hearing them say little like Lovecraftian tidbits that are just for you to hear that aren't necessarily part of your game, is really cool. I will say one thing that a mechanic that was changed a little bit is you'll walk into a room and there's a lot of times you get really overwhelmed. Because you'll walk in and there will be about 20 things to click on. That's a slight exaggeration. It's probably more like like 2 dozen or so, or like a dozen or something.
I mean, 20 is a slight exaggeration. There's 2 dozen.
There's 2 dozen. There's exactly 2 dozen. Far fewer than 20. And it's kind of overwhelming because you're like, what in the world? And then you'll realize like a lot of them didn't have to be clicked on. And you're like, well, what the heck? But it is kind of worth it because a lot of times you will end up with an Easter egg, and that's cool. The way that they incorporate the horrific elements is very well done. There are some points in the game where you can actually get some genuine anxiety out of a point-and-click game, and I think that's incredible. The fact that you'd be able to pull that off is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you're definitely making me want to play it. I'll say that.
I strongly advise playing it. It's a fantastic game. And again, I'm just saying this over and over again, but it is the perfect Lovecraft game. I cannot think of a single Lovecraft game that I would put above this as far as staying true to Lovecraftian to Lovecraft. I don't want to say to Lovecraftian horror because there's some good Lovecraftian horror games, but to Lovecraft himself, it's the perfect game for that. When it comes to Shadow over Innsmouth, you do not have to play that game to completely get Mountains of Madness and to completely get through. So if you're only going to buy one, cut and dry, you're gonna buy Mountain Madness. Just do it.
Okay.
And you might come out of this with a different opinion than me. And I realize that I have a bit of a mental block that you don't suffer from.
Mm-hmm.
In that if the graphics of a game are exceptionally old, I have trouble with immersion.
Mm. Yeah.
You don't suffer from that. You still do it. You're still able to really get into it, and that's something you have over me. But this game uh, is, I think, the perfect amount of how well the graphics are done. Because it's not perfect graphics, obviously. It's still grainy, but I mean, it looks like the jump from 16-bit to 32-bit is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. Well, see, I mean,
Which it actually very well might be.
yeah. Well, the games are supposed to look the way they look, because I mean, like, if you ever played Loom,
Absolutely.
if you ever played Loom, or the original Monkey Island, the game looks exactly like the Chronicle of Innsmouth.
Yeah. No, it does. It does, but I never liked those games to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you like Loom? Like, get you put DOSBox on your PC and find a way to get Loom. It's really, really good. It's a musical game.
It's a musical game.
Yeah, like different musics do different things. And I don't know if you select an object and then play music, or if you play music and it does what it's supposed to do. But like, you've realized that playing different notes do different things. You learn new notes as the time goes on, or not new. It's either new notes or the ability to play more notes at once. So like, you get to where you can play 3 notes instead of 2 or something like that, and playing certain notes in certain orders do certain things. Like like at one point, like, you find out that playing a certain note turns things green, and at one point there's a bunch of sheep, and there's a giant eagle that keeps coming down and stealing the sheep, and so to save the sheep, you play the thing that turns the sheep green, and they look like the ground. And it's a really, really good game, and you'd like it because you're a music lover.
A music lava.
Mm.
This sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, the most off topic, the most off topic we've ever been today so far. The most off topic we've ever been today is this, the thing I'm about to say. But I just happened to see it. I didn't listen to the podcast, but I looked down at the title of the podcast and I looked into it a little bit. In a 5-4 vote, the Supreme Court has upheld the Texas law that was just done in Texas. And they upheld it for a fantastic reason, which I think with our current Supreme Court, by the way, when they give their opinions in June, I think Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned, but that's neither here nor there. I do believe it's going to happen, but the reason why this is so fantastic, like, here's how brilliant the Texas lawmakers are. Do you know about the Texas bill? How it is exactly?
Apparently not.
Okay, so the bill is supposed to be like, it's effectively banning abortion after 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not allowed to do that because Roe v. Wade made a viability test, and then, or made a certain test. It said, after a certain point, states have to allow abortion after a certain point. And then in Hobbs v. Planned Parenthood, or Planned Parenthood v. Hobbs, I forget which. Either way, the Planned Parenthood case, they determined that what it is viability, which they established to be 21 weeks, I think. And so you're not allowed to. So all states at this point must allow abortion up to 21 weeks. You cannot disallow abortion less than that. And what Texas did was they said this. They said it's perfectly legal to get an abortion after 6 weeks if you so choose. Also, private citizens, if any provider performs an abortion after 6 weeks, private citizens are allowed to sue this doctor for $10,000. That's what they did. So therefore, they did not ban it. It's perfectly legal. Also, private citizens can sue them. and
Yeah,
and so
seems
without
legit.
yeah, so uh, without having to change any precedent or anything, overthrow any precedent or any such thing, um uh, they uh yeah, without having to do any such thing, which I think they're going to when they give their opinions on in June. I think they're going to, but without having to do that, they were able to uphold this Texas law, and it's fantastic, and I'm well pleased.
I'm pretty confident that the way they've been the way they've been going back and forth, and all I'm talking about a bunch of different stuff. I think there's a possibility of that. I genuinely don't think that Roe v. Wade is going to be entirely overturned, and I only say that because I just don't see that as a possibility at this point as a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we are so far off topic, and really, if you thought we were going to offend people before, this is going to really do it. I think we're at the point as a nation that that's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you know how
I
many?
genuinely don't think it will.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: if you overturn Roe v. Wade, that doesn't make abortion illegal. It just allows states to make their own decisions.
Right, right.
And so
But
if
even that,
yeah, if the court does the right thing in June, do you know how many states are going to immediately ban abortion?
I would imagine there's at least I would say probably it'll actually be 12 to 15.
There are 21 states who tried to it was like who would very much make stricter abortion laws, and of those 21 states, 12 of them already have things written in their state constitution that basically as soon as Roe v. Wade is gone, immediately all abortions become illegal.
I,
There are 12 states that don't have to write new laws. They have what are called trigger laws that as soon as this happens, then it's illegal. And then there are 21 states that are going to make at least 20. There are 21 states that have already stated that they would make stricter laws if they could.
yeah,
So,
there might be adjustments. I don't think it'll ever be like a anything that's ever overturned or people that will actually make it completely illegal. And obviously, when I say completely illegal, I still think that everyone everywhere is still going to have exceptions for medical emergencies and stuff like that. But
mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I don't think. I think when it actually comes down to doing it, I doubt. My numbers. I think it'll still be more like 12 to 15. That's my assumption.
Mm-hmm. um, uh, yeah. Well, like I do know there are 12 states that do have already have laws on the books that says if this is overturned, immediately it become like it's either fully illegal or cut way back to I think 6 weeks, something like that.
6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Which
Hey,
yeah.
remember earlier
Mm-hmm.
when we said the most off topic we ever been?
Yeah, well, I said this about this abortion thing. It was the most off topic we've ever been. Was this?
Yeah, I was going to agree with you. This
Yeah,
is it.
yeah. Uh, um. But now that we're on this topic, I have to say one more thing. I do think it's going to be overturned come June, and the reason why I think that is because I think that's going to be the turning point. I think that America, for the most part, has to be. So here's what's going to happen. Like I think that being an extreme no non-Christian knows this term, but being an extreme post-tribber, um, uh, I think that there has to be a resistance, and that either has and that has to start. It has to start in America. That's the only reason why America has stayed a good country for so long, and so there has to be good people kind of in charge in America for that to happen. The only way for there to be good people in charge at this point is a violent overthrowing, and the only way for for most good people to take part in a violent overthrowing would be a civil war, and to overturn Roe v. Wade could spark a civil war. So there you go.
which, which isn't that the most shocking thing you can think of?
What?
that would cause a civil
Oh,
war.
I.
Because like if you actually step back and think about that, isn't that
Mhm.
shocking?
Hey, we've murdered 60 million people. Like we've killed more people than Mao, and we'd like to stop that. What? No.
I won't stand for that.
Mhm.
Well, enough of that postage.
Yeah. It's a depressing fact, really. I mean, the fact that we've allowed it is a depressing fact, but
I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties because I can hear you randomly making noises.
uh-huh.
I don't know what those noises are.
Well, my face wasn't close enough to the microphone, I think, for Discord to pick it up.
Possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was doing the Stevie Wonder. I talk in the microphone, and then as I'm talking, I go over here, and then I come back over to the microphone. And
Yeah. Like, the microphone is there, Steve. Can't you see it?
uh,
No, you can't see the microphone.
I won't stand for this, and Christopher Reeve won't sit for this.
No, he won't.
It's because he's dead and he can't sit anymore.
No, he's actually in a laying position, I would imagine. Did they bury him in the chair?
Oh, that'd be fantastic, sitting up. They had to bury him 10 feet under so his head would be 6 feet.
Perfect.
Comedy. Hey,
Well,
we turned this into almost an hour. How'd we do that?
by talking about the most off-topic stuff we've ever managed to get off on.
Well, giving our opinions about how we hate FIFA and we hate abortion has given us a full-length episode. So you're welcome, politics.
It's really unfortunate that you couldn't have talked about the political stuff when we were talking about the Mountains of Madness, because if anything should have been aborted, it would have been that game.
Moons of Madness, Tyler.
No.
No,
What did I say?
You said you wanted to avoid the Mountains of Madness, and you after
I did mean Moons of Madness. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Mountains of Madness is the one you just declared the perfect Lovecraft game. So don't avoid that one.
Yes, avoid the opposite of it.
Yeah. Avoid Moons of Madness. What's this game? I have a game called Cursed in my library, and I don't know what it is. Oh, I know this game. It's a free-to-play game.
That's why it's in your library.
Oh, this is so stupid. It is a free-to-play game. You do not have to pay money for this game. If you go to the Steam page, the store page on Steam, it will say, this game is free, and you can play it for free. Also, I have a friend here. It says right here, one friend has Cursed on their wish list. It's a free game, just get it!
Boy, I hope someday I can get this game.
Oh, I hope within the next few months I can save up free.
They'll be actually at home just trying to, like, one time down, deleting tiny files off their computer. Like, just one day I can finally fit this one. That's what's actually happening.
Yeah. Tyler.
Yeah, that's me.
This game is older than most battle royales. So it's probably not the first one, but it's not because of that. It's given itself a different name because PUBG Fortnite Battle Royale is the one that is Battle Royale is a much older term than that, but it's one that kind of coined the term Battle Royale for those games. But this game was released December 12th, 2019, really before those games really took off in popularity.
PUBG was before then.
Yeah, but they hadn't really taken off in popularity.
Well, sure.
Yeah, Fortnite was a PUBG clone, and Fortnite is the one that made it popular.
Fortnite is garbage.
And Fortnite had already released a Battle Royale mode at this point, but it hadn't super kicked off in popularity yet. So because of that, this game isn't called a Battle Royale in the official description of it. Look at this. Cursed is a brutal MMO last man standing shooter.
I've actually watched Soviet Womble play through that. It's actually kind of interesting.
Really? I only watch his compilations. I don't like watch his streams or anything. But
I watched as well as compilations are amazing.
mhm,
But I actually do. That one was actually from a compilation that I went back to watch the stream because he has a stream archive channel as well.
mhm,
And I actually every once in a while I get a notification when he's on Twitch because it's usually it's like on a Sunday while I'm at work alone, and I'll
mhm,
just watch him because he's always playing something ridiculous.
mm. That's fantastic. I think we should stop.
We have to stop. This is getting ridiculous.
It's time to stop.
It's time to. Oh yes. And with that being said, Filthy Frank, stop being JoJo. Come back.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want more JoJo. We want Filthy Frank back. We need another Pink Guy album. Please stop being JoJo.
We do. That's the thing. We do love Filthy Frank, but you do you remember what it was he said when he started? He wanted to go completely into music and stop doing his Filthy Frank. Like he said, because he did say like doing the voice and doing a bunch of other stuff. He said it was physically painful to do all that, and he said he couldn't continue doing it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. He's had time to rest. He went and made some money. Your voice is rested up now, Frank. You can come back. Just do it one day a week. Just one day a week is all I ask of you. I will pay for your ibuprofen. I will send me your address. I will set up a weekly Amazon medication subscription if I have to send you ibuprofen once a week. Make more videos. Because JoJo's watching this.
Yeah, and we know that he is. So obviously,
He's always here with us.
Mhm.
On that note,
we've got to go. We got to stop this.
hey, have you ever thought about ending these things really abruptly?